And okay, so we're recording now. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. So as I was saying, we're nearing the last 10 days, and this is where we really want to get into our spiritual stride, if we haven't already, and make the most of this blessed time. And Ramadan Connect is all about helping you do that. Each week, there's a reflection question to help you go deeper into your deen and grow closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So I do encourage everyone to take a look at the Padlet. You can put your introduction. And if you haven't done the first 2 weeks, there's still time. I'll be posting the third week today, inshallah, for our reflection. And then, of course, another very exciting part of Ramadan Connect is our author visits. We're very honored to have Sister Sabirah with us. I'm going to just mute everyone here, Sister Shaza, if I can. There we go. And I'm going to put the mute off, so we have to call on people. This will make things a little easier. Okay. So now everyone's on mute. My students know how this works. We'll click on you to ask you to unmute. Just makes things a little easier with people coming in and out. So as I always say with Ramadan Connect, of course, an exciting part this year is our author visits. We're very honored and excited to have Sister Sabirah with us, and we look forward to learning a little bit about her as well as her story. And the other very exciting part of Ramadan Connect this year is the story writing competition. And if you haven't started on it yet, you better get going because we're nearing the last third of Ramadan. So all of those details are on the Padlet. We can talk a little bit more about them at the end, because we also have this week the workshop with Sister Flor de Lisa, who is from Muslim Kids TV. And my students know about this, that if your story is chosen, it will be turned into an animated short film, which is super exciting. And I've already seen some of the stories that my students are working on, and I'm so impressed. They've really put some wonderful creative ideas together. And the rest of it, if you haven't started, I encourage everyone here tonight to work on a story for the story writing contest. Sister Shaza, I think, is there anything else from you here before we maybe open with our sort of Fatiha? But
no, that's it from me, Brother Yahya. Thank you so much. I guess I'll just say, remember to post on Ramadan Connect, guys. That is the best way for us to get to know one another. We love being together here in this live space. I love seeing you, hearing from you. But that's where we really get to hear, like, okay, how are you working on gratitude this week? Or what's this week's theme? Who knows it? Put it in the chat if you know it. You need to then respond to the reflection questions and the action. And, we really want to see you thinking about these things and then respond to each other's posts. So make sure that you're using that, inshallah, to connect with each other. What is the theme this week? So let's go ahead. If you know the answer, go ahead and post that. And I see some hands raised. What we'll do is we'll call on one of you to recite Surah Fatiha, and then we will get started with Sister Sabirah. All right, Amina Jilani, go ahead and I'm pressing ask to unmute. I think that's not Amina, it might be Amina's son. Go ahead and recite Surah Fatiha.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alamin. Ar-Rahmanir-Rahim. Maliki Yawmiddin. Iyaka na'budu wa iyaka nasta'in. Ihdina siratal mustaqim. Siratal ladzina an'amta alayhim ghayril maghdubi alayhim waladdallin. Ameen.
Ameen. Jazakallah khair. That was so beautiful. Thank you so much. Sister Sabirah, welcome to Ramadan Connect, Islamic School League of America's program to connect Muslim children from all around the world. We've got kiddos from Dubai and all over the place. We want to know, Sister Sabirah, where are you calling from? And tell us a little bit about yourself, since we don't seem to have a biography about you.
Of course. I'm calling from Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, in America. And I'm 25. This is my first book. I am a professional nanny and babysitter. So the book is really, really, really based on a true story. So this is my first book. I do nanny. I'm actually babysitting right now. It's quiet time, so it's the perfect time to be in a meeting. And I'm really simple. I don't have a huge biography.
Well, Sister Sabirah, it's so exciting to have you, the author of this amazing book, over here. I think that people all around the world might know what a babysitter is, but just in case, what is a babysitter? Who knows what a babysitter is?
I want to ask, is anybody raising their hand?
Okay, yeah, we've got some people raising their hands, but I guess you guys have been raising your hands for a while, so I don't know. Is this new or not new? Okay, Nuran, go ahead, Nuran, unmute yourself. Where did you go, Nuran? I don't see Nuran anymore. Okay, Alishba.
I've unmuted her. I've unmuted
Oh,
her.
okay,
Ron, go ahead.
Babysitter is someone that can like take care of someone, like example, like a baby or somebody.
Or even an older kid, right? See in this picture that the girl is a
Yeah.
little bit older, right?
Exactly.
Why do you need,
Yeah.
why might someone need a babysitter? Qasim, why does somebody maybe need a babysitter? Unmute yourself. You're on, okay, yeah, go ahead.
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam.
A babysitter for elder kids. Sometimes they use them if your parents are going out for a very important like work or anything,
Yeah.
and so and you're by your own and you need a nanny or a babysitter.
You
That's
got
why
it,
it was-
Qasim.
Exactly.
That's perfect, Qasim. Okay, so with that introduction, that was exactly perfect. We're going to go ahead and spotlight Sister Sabirah and let her read aloud her first story, My Babysitter Wears Hijab. Go ahead, Miss Sabirah.
Ready? Oh, we can. Can everyone see pretty good?
Yes, we can.
My Babysitter Wears Hijab, written by me, Sabirah, and illustrated by a sister, Ujala, who lives in Pakistan. Let's open up. Saturday nights meant that it was time for mommy and daddy to do boring grown-up things like dates. All was fine until mommy told me that my bestest babysitter, Lauren, was sick. Icky, sticky, kind of sicky. Yuck. For the first time ever since diapers, a new sitter would come. No, Lauren, a new sitter? What is the world coming to? I yelled as I flopped to the ground. I'm sorry you're upset, sweetie. Lauren sent a friend to come join your royal tea party. What if the new babysitter games were boring? What if she only let me watch 9 minutes of TV instead of 10, like Lauren does? I started to worry. Then I heard the doorbell. Ding dong. Mommy and Daddy both welcomed the new babysitter in. I noticed she hadn't shaken Daddy's hand, only Mommy's. Did that mean that she hated Daddy? I needed to call Lauren. Hi, Vicky, I'm Sabirah. If it's okay, Lauren asked me to take her spot in the royal tea party. It was fine for Miss Sabirah to join. There was only one problem. She didn't wear her princess dress. Her dress was long and black instead of bright and flowery. There was also something covering her hair. Hi, Miss Sabirah, what's that on your head? What are you wearing? I smiled up at her and she smiled back. It's hijab. After Mommy and Daddy left, we started to play. The floor is lava. Miss Sabirah kept her hijab on even as she hopped to avoid the molten rock on the living room floor. Why do you still have your hijab on? Does it make you lava-proof? I asked excitedly. That question really tickled Miss Sabirah, but she said it doesn't. So can you tell me why you want to keep it on? I started to ask while I rebuilt our fort. Of course, Vicky, I am a Muslim. That means that I practice a religion called Islam. Muslims believe in one God named Allah. We follow his guidance for life. Islam teaches us to be very modest. That means that we show less of ourselves with our hijab and practice good habits. Our hijab represents our beliefs and our love for Allah, Miss Sabirah explained with a huge smile on her face. Oh, it's kind of like when my grandpa wears his yarmulke. He's Jewish, but can you take it off? Can I see your hair? I wondered if Miss Sabirah's hair was brown like mine. I would wonder the same, Miss Sabirah started. Although you should know that most women in hijab would not want anyone to ask them to remove it. We choose to wear it outside of our homes and in front of others. What about your stuffed animals? I asked. She laughed and nodded yes. Sometimes they see my hair and my favorite sparkly jammies. Can you wear a pink hijab with rainbows, unicorns, bright and sparkly stars, blue and green glitter? Then can we add stickers? Can you? Ha, ha, ha. Whoa, Miss Sabirah laughed really loud. It's better for hijab to be more basic and plain. We wanted to cover us without showing off how fancy we can be. I guess that meant she didn't want me to add glitter. But as she spoke, I noticed we were in danger. Ah, the lava's coming for us. Oh no, Vicky, quick, send out a rope so I can climb up. We were both lava pros. Bedtime was getting close. We had to play more games before bedtime o'clock. First, we played hide and seek. I hid in the best spots. Then we played Guess Who. Miss Sabirah was 100 years old, like the game, so she guessed more people than I did. We even played Dino Dress Up and had a roaring contest. We were a Sabirasaurus and a Vicky Ceratops. Even though Lauren couldn't make it, we still pretended to be two princesses at a royalty party. I placed a fancy crown over Miss Sabirah's hijab. Her dress didn't need flowers and glitter. She was a modest princess. Right before bedtime, my new babysitter braided my hair. She promised to teach me how to braid one day. She read my favorite book, Don't Eat While You Read. We laughed while we pretended to drop food on the grumpy old book. I started to snuggle into bed, but more questions popped into my head. I wondered, why didn't she shake Daddy's hand and only had shaken Mommy's? I didn't want Daddy to feel sad, so I asked. Wow, great question. Miss Sabirah started to explain. Well, Islam teaches us that men and women only have close contact if they are close family. If they are close family. Daddy was aware of that, so he said hello instead of shaking my hand. That was very kind of him. I yawned and nodded my head. Daddy wasn't sad after all. I learned a lot and had a bunch of fun. Now, when I see someone in a hijab, I will be happy to tell them, my babysitter wears hijab. Good night, Miss Sabirah. Good night, Miss Sabirah's hijab. Sweet dreams, Vicky. Miss Sabirah turned off the light and shut the door. I snuggled my stuffy, the one who made me feel safe, and fell asleep. The end.
Yay, thank you so much, Miss Sabirah. I love how the little girl learned so much about Islam just by having a babysitter who wears hijab. That's so cool.
Exactly. I nanny 3 children now, and they correct me all the time if I forget, or like they know so much. They're so curious. They ask the best questions, and I love having those talks with them. So they learn so much about Islam just from having a Muslim nanny.
Alhamdulillah. So Miss Sabirah, we've asked a few of our authors, and I just want to show a couple of the other books. We had Miss Suma Dean come, and I'll remove the pen here.
Awesome.
Okay, we had Miss Suma Dean come in and read The Gift of Our World. She might be reading again on Friday, by the way. Keep an eye out. We had Reem Faruqi read I Can Help. And now we've had you read My Babysitter Wears Hijab. And it's so exciting to hear and interesting to hear. How did you think of this story? I think I kind of know since I've been listening to you talk, but do you mind giving us some insight into what gives you ideas for your stories or for this story?
So I worked in a daycare. I worked in daycares for about 6 years. Right before the pandemic, I quit the daycare and I opened up my nanny services. When I quit, most of the children that I was babysitting were babies still and toddler age, so they didn't have much speech. After the pandemic, once everything started calming down and I started babysitting them again, they're like 3 and 4 years old now. They were curious. So from seeing me as a baby, they never, reacted to my hijab at all. But once I came back around and they had words, they would ask me, what's that? So it was just funny to see children I've been caring for since they were infants get those words and become curious enough to verbally just ask me, what's that? Like, what are you wearing? What's going on? So the book, they really inspired me. Once I first heard them ask me, what's that? I thought to just write this book up. so that more families, non-Muslim families specifically, could have it and learn about the significance of hijab and what we're wearing. So when they see us, they're just saying hello instead of kind of standoffish and more curious about what we're wearing.
I love it. And for those of you who are living in countries where Muslims are not the majority, where there's not as many Muslims, like here in the United States, this is really important for us to learn how to explain our religion to us. We have Reem Zainal asking, are you a babysitter for kids? So yes, she is a babysitter.
Yeah.
Okay, Serene, do you want to unmute yourself and ask your question? I like your question, Serene.
Hi,
We have some people
Assalamu
coming.
alaikum.
Assalamu alaikum, Serene. I've just pressed the button where I asked you to unmute. Go ahead and ask your question. We've got a few minutes. Serene, are you speaking, honey? Because you're not unmuted. And I see Serene maybe would want to wear that unicorn hijab that the little girl was asking
my
about. I
goodness,
see a unicorn in your thing.
yes.
Serene, are you going to unmute? No?
Yes.
Okay. Yes, Serene. Assalamu alaikum, honey. Do you want to ask your question?
When did you write the book?
I wrote the book over a year ago, but I changed it maybe 5 times. So the manuscript, the wording in the book was changed about 5 times in the course of a year.
Wow. So that's a really interesting thing. So Miss Sabirah, did you have to change the words, or what was the reason for changing? What does an author go through from the time that they write the first draft of their story to when it gets into a book form like this?
Yeah. So children's book isn't as easy to write as people think they are, especially when you're explaining a very big subject to smaller children. So I wanted to make sure the book was entertaining. I wanted to make sure to have the information that we needed and the key points that we get a lot, like even the handshaking with the fathers or the type of hijab that we wear. I wanted to make sure I got all those points in the book, but also kept it entertaining. So I kept having to change the manuscript to kind of shorten it, to switch things around, to make sure the story flows together. So it's a really deep process when you're explaining such a big subject to smaller children. Explaining it to Muslim children is easy, but the book is targeted for non-Muslim children who aren't familiar with hijab. So that made it more difficult as well.
That's really interesting. So guys, that's part of the story writing contest that we have here too, is that we're going to see how much does your story flow together? How much have you developed your main character? And all of those kinds of details that really make a story come alive. Who else has a question? You want to use your, okay, I see a lot of hands. Khadija, go ahead. I'm going to press unmute for you. Okay, Khadija, what's your question?
Why did you have to write the topic about my babysitter wears a hijab?
I wrote it to help children understand the importance of hijab and even give it a name. Because a lot of times when the children see us, they don't even know what we're wearing. They don't have a name. So now that they have this book and they know what hijab is, they can start making those connections. So when they see people out, when they see us out in our hijab, our kimars, our abayas, they recognize it for what it is. And they won't be afraid of it and they won't think it's strange anymore.
Wow. Oh, that's really important. And so especially if you're not if you live amongst all other Muslims, like or a lot of Muslims like in Dubai or Pakistan or some other Egypt, I know we had people from all over, maybe hijab isn't so unusual for others, but in the United States, it's very different. And so this is why I really love Siwar's question. Siwar, you can unmute. This is such a deep question. Go ahead and ask it.
Do you face challenges by wearing the hijab?
I love that question. So in America, we do, but I think it really depends on where we live as well. I live in Philadelphia, which has a bunch of Muslims, but not as many as you guys have in your country. But we do still face challenges. Some people think it's strange. That's why it's really important to teach the children about these strange subjects, so they're more aware of them and they're more accepting towards them. So we do face small challenges, but I wouldn't say it's enough, of course, to discourage any of us from our hijab.
Yeah, mashallah. Thank you so much. What about Ikra? Ikra's iPad. Oh, that's you. Yes, I pressed ask to unmute. What's your question?
Why did you write a book?
So, and she did answer that question. Why did you write the book? To help teach other people about hijab and to make something that's unusual for some people not so unusual anymore. So that would be one reason. I have Aisha Malik asks a really good question. She sent a direct message to me. Aisha Malik, go ahead and unmute and ask your question, honey.
Assalamualaikum.
Walaikum
Walaikum
assalam.
salam.
Why does she wear the hijab inside the house?
Great question. It's a great question because the child who I nanny, who's aware that I can take my hijab off in front of the children, asked me the same question. But just to teach the lesson and not to make it too complicated for the non-Muslim children to understand, she kept her hijab on around Vicky. We know that she could have removed it around Vicky, but she also explained a very good point to Vicky that women in hijab do not want to be asked to remove it. So even though Vicky was curious and wanted to see Miss Sabirah's hair, she had to remind Vicky that this is our choice to cover it. And we really don't like when people ask us to remove our hijab, right?
And that
So she kept her hijab on.
That connects to a question that Ala Abdul Hadi is asking. So Ala, go ahead and ask your question, honey. You're still muted, Ala. There you go. Yes, Ala.
Do people think you are wearing the hijab by force?
Thank you for asking, Ala.
Good question. I think naturally some people, especially in America, do think that. They don't understand Islam. They don't understand it's our choice. That's why it was really important for me to put in the book that we choose to cover. Because we don't want them to think we're oppressed. We don't want them to think we're sad. We're very happy about wearing our hijab and we love our hijab. So that was a good question. Some people do think that, but by being happy in your hijab and prideful in it in a modest way, we show them that this is our choice and we love it.
So we're getting close to the end. We had somebody ask about who made the drawings. And so she did mention it, but I guess I wanted to ask Sister Sabirah, how do you find an illustrator? And what made you choose this illustrator? Or did you choose it or did the publisher choose it?
I chose it. So I self-published the book. So I chose her and it was kind of random. And I'm really happy I ended up choosing her. It was very random, but I did love her work. I seen a few of the books that she illustrated before. She was really sweet. I love the fact that she was a Muslim woman as well. So we really connected. She's actually working on my next book, Don't Eat While You Read. So
Don't eat while you read. My kids eat all the time while they're reading. Sister Sabirah, this is a good one. Okay, so you know what I love about the illustrator? I love how happy the babysitter is wearing hijab. Like she's just such a happy, smiley person. I really love this.
She has a very friendly face in the book, so that was important.
MashaAllah. Sister Sabirah, so just this last question, Mariam Beg asked, when did you think of writing your first book and why? And I think that you answered that, but now that you're talking about your next story that you're working on, oh, Maliha's asking, where can we buy the book? Maliha, it does depend on where you live, honey. But we will post a link to Amazon, which is in the United States, probably the easiest place. Is there another place, Sister Sabirah?
I'm not familiar with how they could buy the book in their countries.
Okay.
Maybe if their schools reach out to me, we can just have some books shipped.
That's a good idea.
To do that. So definitely, if the schools reach out, if they can't buy it on Amazon,
okay,
that's the next best option.
And Mr. Yahya has posted the link on Amazon. Brothers and sisters, we actually have to leave now. I know I see so many hands raised, and I'm so excited that there's 55 of us Muslims from all over the world. Isn't that exciting, you guys? Let's go to a gallery view if you are okay with it. Turn on your videos and let's get a screenshot. Let's take a picture of all of us together, guys. Inshallah. Go ahead, get your biggest smile on. There we go. Ready? And I don't know how many people I can get in here. Hold on. Full screen. Okay, all right, I see. Oh, look at Amina. Oh, look at that. You got it, you got it. Okay, ready? And I'm gonna take a few of them because I've got 3 different screens. 1, 2, 3, smile. Okay, that was the first one. Now I'm gonna go to the second screen. 1, 2, 3, smile. Okay, and the third screen is just, oh, third screen also has people. Okay, 1, 2, 3, smile. Thank you. Brothers and sisters, thank you so much for joining. I hope that we see you on Wednesday. Wednesday is going to be really interesting. We're going to learn how a story like this, or a story like the one that you're writing, gets turned into a cartoon. How cool is that? So feel free to join us again. It's going to be at the same time, inshallah, on Wednesday. And keep an eye out on the Padlet, because on Friday, it's Earth Day over here in the United States. And I know many of you didn't get to hear Sister Suma Dean read aloud her story, The Gift of Our World. And it felt like this is a great book to read on Earth Day. So I hope that you guys can join us. Let's all unmute and recite Surah Al-Asr when I go to 3, okay? So go ahead and unmute and we'll recite Surah Al-Asr to end. 1, 2, 3. Jazakumullah khairan, everybody. Thank you so much. Mashallah, I have some people writing that they want to wear hijab when they grow up. They're very inspired by your story, Sister Sabirah. Jazakallah khair. Thank you. Assalamu alaikum. Have a good day. Thank you, Sister Sabirah. We
You're
really love
welcome.
Assalamu alaikum.
Assalamu alaikum.
Bye.
Bye.